I'm Oliver Gilbert. I'm the mayor of Miami Gardens, and I'm running for County Commission, Miami-Dade County Commission, District 1. I'm running because I know the county we can become together. Together, we can build a county with mass transit. Together, we can build a county that's worthy of our children's future. Together, we can lower the price of housing and increase the level of opportunity for everyone here. We can do that together. I want to be your county commissioner. I was born and raised in Miami Gardens, so I actually went to elementary school, middle school, and high school right here in Miami Gardens. I went away to FAMU for undergraduate. I came back and I went to the University of Miami for law school, and I graduated from there. It's an interesting story. The University of Miami, I used to catch the bus, 27, all the way down 27th Avenue to the Metro Rail station, and catch the train all the way around to the law school. At night, I'd repeat the same path, and my dad would be waiting at the station there to pick me up, and he'd ask me every day, the same question: what did you learn today? And he was a Southern Baptist preacher, and I would just tell him whatever I learned. His point wasn't that he really was interested, and he might have been. I don't think he was. But his point was that whatever I learned down at University of Miami School of Law, I should be bringing it back home to Miami Gardens. I'm the mayor of Miami Gardens. I do that every day. I take everything that I've learned, every experience that I've ever had, and I try to pour it into Miami Gardens to create someplace, to build someplace that you want to be. You can't really intelligently talk about affordable housing or the affordability of housing without talking about mass transit. You can't talk about mass transit without talking about economic development and job creation. You can't talk about economic development and job creation without talking about crime and crime prevention. They're connected in ways that we don't really have real conversations about. When you look at housing, the problem is basic supply and demand. Not affordable housing, we can talk about that in a second, but the affordability of housing for people who don't qualify for any programs, who aren't going to get a voucher, who don't qualify for public assistance. Can they afford to live here in Miami-Dade County? And the reason why it's becoming more and more unaffordable is because of supply and demand. The supply, there's more of a demand than there is a supply. If you actually expand the traveling area that people can actually get from point A to point B, you're actually increasing the amount of supply. And it actually could bring down, at least help bring down, housing prices. So we talk a lot about affordable housing, which is important. We need to be able to make a way for everyone to live in this community. The larger problems for us right now is the affordability of housing. People who get up and go to work every day. Teachers, law enforcement, doctors, nurses, they can't afford to live here in some respects. We're being priced out of our homes. We got to fix that. So things like the Women's March, it's important not just for women and not just for girls, but for men and for boys, because the issues of equity are real. My mom is brilliant. So she has a bunch of postgraduate degrees. I think she never made anything less than A. You're telling me that my brilliant mom shouldn't make as much money as a man because she's a woman? No, that's ridiculous. These are things that we can fix. These are social constructs that we can redefine. These aren't, think out of the box issues. There is no box. We created this. We can address this. We just have to have the political will to do it. We have to be committed to equity and equality in a meaningful way, beyond just rhetoric, but beyond our comfort level, because doing things differently is always going to make you a little uncomfortable. That doesn't mean it ought not be done. You have to actually do it. So the Women's March, I'm happy that it could come to Miami Gardens, because we need attention on those issues. We see ourselves as a big city and an old city and an established city. The truth is that we're a baby city. We're a baby community, and we're still forming. We have an opportunity to create ourselves correctly. We have an opportunity to actually see ourselves as one community. We don't do that very often. We have conversations about 13 different districts or 34 different cities, or unincorporated areas versus incorporated areas. We have conversations that are men or women, gay or straight or bisexual. We have Hispanic or African American or Caucasian. We have too many ors. We are not an or, we are an and. And that diversity makes us extraordinary. It's that diversity. It's understanding that while we might have gotten here on different paths, where we're here is the important part. And we all want to build something. We want to build a Miami-Dade County that is the beacon of light. It's a model for what a truly diverse, inclusive, growing city can be, not just for this state, not just for this country, but for this world. We can do that. We can do that by investing in our kids, all of our kids. We can do that by trying to ensure opportunity for people in every area. We can do that by being ands. You know, it's interesting. I'm often asked about gun violence, and people expect a single answer to cure something that has been in the making for a while. It's akin to actually letting cancer metastasize in your body for 3 or 4 decades and expecting it to go away in a day, or even more so in an hour. Look, that's not what's going to happen. There are a lot of things we have to do, because there's a lot of things that go into actually creating gun violence. We need to, first of all, if we can, to the greatest extent possible, pressure our state legislators and our national legislators to actually limit the number of guns on the street. It's insane. It's insane. There has to be fewer guns. We know that places around the world who have fewer guns have less gun violence. So when I hear people talk about, oh yeah, the answer to this shooting was let a good guy have a gun. Listen, that's like saying smoking more cigarettes will cause less cancer. That's not true. You want to have less gun violence, you need less guns. But there are other things we can do. We can invest in our children. We can invest in our children in meaningful ways early and often. In Miami Gardens, one of the things that we started doing is giving free anger management and dispute resolution counseling sessions at our community center for anybody who wants to drop off their kid. The thing is this: we need to teach kids how to deal with their problems. We have kids going to violence, turning to violence for things that when we were young, we would have never thought of even fighting over. They don't know how to resolve that. We need to meaningfully invest in economic opportunities for every community. We need to really address people who are re-entering our society, not just with the right to vote, but with the ability to actually make a living. We need to not institutionalize poverty in this community, and then we need to stop demonizing the poor. We need to understand how housing and parks and job creation and economic development and access to guns and mental illness all affect somebody picking up a gun and taking a life. And then we need to be committed to attacking every one of those areas like our lives depended on it, because some of our lives depend on it. So I have this conversation about the environment all the time with folks, and here in Miami Gardens, because they ask me, why are we active? Why are you speaking about this? Why are you at this conference? You know, we don't have any beachfront property, sea level rise. And well, first, even if you didn't actually care about the planet, care about the fact that Miami Beach and people coming here because of our beach is an economic engine, and a whole bunch of jobs that aren't on Miami Beach, that are in the rest of the cities and the rest of the county, actually tied to that water and that environment and that tourism. We need to understand that it's not just their problem, it's all of our problem. We need to take meaningful steps to actually address sea level rise, beach erosion, and then we need to start to speak nationally, you know, as a country, about being good stewards of the planet. Look, unless somebody knows something I don't, this is all we got. If this is all we got, then we need clean water to drink. We need to be able to, you know, have good land to till and to create food. We have to be better patrons of this planet. If we don't, we might wake up finding ourselves not having a planet to be a patron of, and that would be a problem. About LGBTQ issues, I was thinking about my dad, and he was a Baptist pastor. You know, my mom, Seventh-day Adventist teacher, dad, Baptist pastor, and it's kind of his influence on me. You'll see it's prevalent in a lot of things I do, but he would always say, love who you love. Just love who you love. I think that people pay far too much attention to what other folks are doing, when in truth, who they love is their choice. It's their decision. Us finding a way to live together and work together and be together, to be an extraordinary community, to grow, to be a place where our kids can come together and be together and work together and grow. That's the important thing. Everything else, it's just white noise. There's this line in the Bible that says that the poor will always be with us. And I always remember that. I also remember when I was working with State Representative Dorothy Vandross-Mendenhall, I was her legislative aide, and she used to say that there's money in being poor. And I didn't understand it at first, but industries that form around people who have very little or have nothing, being able to take advantage of them. What we need to do, if we're going to be the America of our rhetoric, is to build ladders. Build ladders out of poverty. That's going to, of course, include education. It's going to, of course, include a pathway to college, but it'll include training and stuff like that also. It'll include a change in our attitude. We got to stop seeing people who don't have a lot as not good people or people who we don't want to be around. We have to stop demonizing poverty. The Bible says the poor will always be with us. It didn't say they were bad. So there are words that we take for granted. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We forget sometimes the word indivisible. Indivisible means that not only are we together, but we can't be divided. It's so important to remember exactly who we were from our beginnings. We weren't people who were all born here in this great country of America, in this great continent of North America. No, we were people who came here from other places. Some by force and some not. We all came, or people came to America, actually looking for something better. You don't come and close the door. You don't come and close the door. That's not what happens. That's literally un-American. Miami-Dade County has the perfect opportunity to be the perfect place, the perfect demonstration of what people who were born and raised here can do when people who come from South and Central America and the Caribbean and Africa and Europe, when they gather in one place and they purpose themselves to being indivisible, what they can do, what they can build, what they can achieve. That's who we're trying to become. We are trying to become.